In this lesson, we're going to cover how to attach something to the hand. And I don't just mean always follow the hand. I mean, say you're animating a scene and something's sitting on the table and you want the character to pick up that thing that's sitting on the table, and that object transfer from the table to the hand. So we're going to go ahead and do this. And just a pre-warning sort of for doing this. Plan out your animation first, because this is still applicable for dependency loops. So you can't have the prop follow the hand and then the hand follow the prop, or I don't know, maybe it's following the left hand and the right hand follows the prop, and then you're switching around the other way, because then you have the hand following the prop and the prop following the hand in dependency loop. So plan it out a little bit beforehand, just so you know what you're doing and figure out, okay, the prop's going to follow the hand or the hand's going to follow the prop. But either of those is applicable. So like when I do certain weapons like a staff, I will probably have both hands follow the staff, and I'll animate the staff around because that's easier to do than say a gun, where I would just attach it to the hand and have the hand do all the animation. So it kind of depends on the scenario, but plan it out a little bit before you start making all this stuff. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and make a prop. I'm going to make a box that he's going to pick up here. We'll do some animation. So go ahead and make a polygon box. And so the method we're going to use, if you recall setting up the hands, I can't remember if we did it in the full assembly where we finalized the rig, or if we did it in the FK IK arm setup, but we have this orient control. So remember, we just made some groups, constrained the parent group, CT group for this control to all those groups, and then we use the set term key to switch the weighting of that constraint to those different objects. So that's exactly the same thing we're going to do here, just on a slightly simpler scale, or I don't know, it always kind of depends on what the prop is, but in this case it's going to be a simpler scale. So I'm going to do this like this is a package he's got to pick up and say deliver somewhere or something like that. And I'll freeze transformations on that, and I'm going to leave it in the origin. Let's go ahead and I'm going to make a control for this, because I could just constrain this to the hands to follow, but I like to have a control, sometimes even a secondary control, sometimes two. So this control is primary, and if something's following the box, it follows that primary. But then I also have a secondary control that I can still animate free of that box. So I'm going to start by making a control here, and let's go ahead and group that, and I'm looking for my outliner, sorry. And we'll name this box control. I'm going to capitalize that like I did with everything else, and box CT group. Okay, so I've got that, and then I'm just going to parent constrain this box to follow this control. I need to select the other way for that to happen. Parent. Okay, so this control drives that box now, and I could attach this however. I could build a rig for this box or whatever this is. It could be another character, as long as I have some way to move the whole thing. If I need one character to pick up another, as long as I have some way to move the whole thing, then that's all I really need. And this could be rigged, or it could just be a static object, either one. Again, like we set up the hand, if you recall, there were those, no, I think that one's under here, these orient groups. And we're going to use the same thing. So I need something for this box to sit in the world, so I'm just going to use this existing world orient. And I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it so we have another one in the same spot. And I'm going to call it left hand orient. And I will go ahead and constrain it to this wrist control. The wrist is always following the wrist joint, so it's we point constrained it to the actual joint there. So that should always be right where the hand is. So I'm going to parent constrain this new group to that. And I could do it to the joint. The only thing is we have scaling, the stretching on here, and sometimes the constraints pick up the scaling. So even though there's nothing hooked up with the scale, it moves as if it was parented on here and being scaled. So it'll move as the arm scales. So I'm going to parent it to this wrist control so I don't have to deal with any of that. And hopefully I won't see any wonkiness from that. So I'm going to go ahead and parent constrain the CT group to each one of these two groups now. So I'm grabbing the world orient, left hand orient, and then finally the box control group. Constrain parent. And now it's either strained to the world, so it's all on the world. Box stays still. If it's all on the hand, it follows the hand. And I'm going to go ahead and, whoops, wrong one, set up a set driven key for that. So start on the world orient, and we'll go ahead and add it the same way we did on the hand. Add attribute. I'm going to make it an enum, so enum right there. Let's see. Where does it let me? And I'm going to name it orient, actually lowercase. Oh, there it is. I was like, where is that? I've scrolled down too far. And so yeah, don't check that on. That's nice, Dan. That's if you want it to be, you would display a different name here, but have something. You know, here's the programming version. Here's the nice display version. Don't use that button. I mean, you can, but that's not what I'm using. And name these. Let's see, world and left hand. And go ahead and add those. I'm going to set up a set driven key to drive that. And that's the driver. Parent constrains the driven. Default we're set on world. And that's on the world, so I'll grab both of those and hit key. And left hand. And left hand. Key. Okay. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and change how these hands are oriented so that they follow the chest here. And I'm going to do a little bit of animation to start this out. So let's bring down my timeline some here. I'm gonna pose at the extremes. I'm not going to do great animation here. I'm just going to do something where we can start to see all this stuff. I'm going to set a keyframe there, and I'm going to hide everything with my NURB curves real quick, and keyframe all of that. And I'll go over 10 frames, and I will start to. Oh, I'm already set to hand. Okay. Key. So by default, everything's in place because that all those groups are still there because nothing that they're attached to is moved. World always stays in place. If the left hand is attached to the left hand, so if I move this hand up, that group's moved now, so it's probably somewhere up over here now. So watch when this changes. Yep, and watch as I rotate the hand. So that group stays wherever to the relative to wherever that hand control is. So we can be aware of that, but you know we're going to do the switch within 2 keyframes, so we can just line it back up, and it won't be an issue. So I'm going to go ahead and have him bend over and start to pick this up. I'm going to pull my knee controls out here so he isn't crossing through himself. Pull them out a little bit more. Get these relatively posed on here. I'm not going to worry too much with the fingers right now. Just get the palms on here for the case of this demo. And you know, I'm not actually going to animate this right hand right now. I could, but I'm going to do something in a minute that will negate anything that I do anyway. So I'm going to focus on the left hand for right now, and you know, this is still independent of that. So I'm going to set a key there on the hand. I'm going to set a key on the box. I'm going to go 1 keyframe over, and I'm going to switch how it's attached now. So now it's attached to the left hand. Oh, actually, before I do that, I need to move it back to that same spot so I can line it back up. So I'm going to use our trusty little locator to actually do what it's named after. And I made a locator. I'm going to parent it under that control. I'm going to zero it out. I forgot to freeze my control, but we're going to keep moving, not to stop. Okay, so we have a locator that's the same spot as the box. So now when I switch this and it flies away, I have something I can snap it back to. And as far as the rotation, I'm just going to eyeball it back in place. If it moves a little bit, that's fine. It's being picked up, so it should probably jostle a little bit anyway. And then I'll just scrub back and forth to see when it's close. Might be pretty good. Oh, what's going on there? It's on world. Oh, it's on left hand over here. World. Okay. So yeah, just a little bit of jostling happened, but in motion nobody will notice that. So now we're connected left hand. So I'll go and set my next keyframe extreme of him standing back up with it. And the box just always sticks to the hand, so I just have to position the hand to get the box where I want. Yeah, I should probably put his fingers underneath, but whatever, we're doing this quick. This isn't a good animation lesson, this is just how to attach stuff. So we'll call that good. So there he is picking up this box. Now the right hand, I could try to animate this sticking to the side of the box, but they're free of each other, so it's going to be swimming all over as we animate it. I don't want to have to try to keyframe this thing to stick to the side of this box and not look like it's sliding all over the place. So I'm going to do the same thing to it. I'm going to have it follow the box. So the box is going to follow the left hand, and the right hand is going to follow the box, and that way all I have to do is animate the left hand to get the box to look like it's being lifted. Now, if you recall, this already has some constraints on it to handle what it's oriented to. So what I'm going to do first is duplicate this orient and name it box orient. And we're going to parent constrain it to follow the box. And then I'm going to add that to the wrist control group. So I'm going to grab the box orient and grab the right hand IKCT group. Now there's already a parent constraint under here, so watch what happens when I add a new parent constraint. It just shows up right here in the list, so it just gets added to the existing one. So now I have one that's also in here. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn it to 0, because we need it off for all these other existing ones, because there's no set driven key on it already. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first, just because it's easier to do before it has animation on. So, whoops, not that, but that. So loading up the group, no, loading up the control as the driver, sorry. And then loading up the parent constraint as the driven. And we're just going to go through all these different orients and just key our box one. Let's see. And so I got to go through all of these first. But because there's no other keyframes on it than 0, I could just jump through each one of these, and the only thing it has to key is the number 0. So we're just going to do this quickly here. Chest and head's the only one left. And great. Oh, the other thing I got to do is add on some way to control the box. I'm going to select the control. I'm selecting the orient attribute, going up to edit, edit attribute, finding orient. I can go down here all the way to the bottom, grab this blank space, and add a new one. Close, and now we have one for box. And when we're on box, we only have the box orient on. Okay, so now when that's on, it follows the box. But first, we don't want that on. We want it following the chest still. And I'm going to go down to frame 10 and place this on the box. This is the great thing about stretchy arms, is you totally fudge stuff with how close characters have to be or whatever to get them to hold something. Alright, we'll call that good. Set a keyframe there and go one keyframe over. And it's not following the box, or just anywhere it's following the box, it's going to jump up because that group is moved relative to the box, and we're going to, and the character actually, because he moved down. Put it on the box, and I'm just going to scrub back and forth till it looks like it's in an okay spot. And actually, that doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's probably sliding a little bit, but I can't notice it in the motion. So now when we get to frame 20, all I have to do is animate this hand. Whoa, what's going on? Are they both on? Let's look at it. What did I do? I probably have it keyframed to 2. Two things on. Yep, I didn't turn off head. Let's do that again real quick. I'll probably also have to reposition that. Animate, set driven key, set the driver, load the driven, take 2. Turn that off, not just the box on. Okay, so now it's up there, but that's fine because just keyframe it down here, and that's the only keyframe we have to fix. I'm going to call that good enough. There we go. So now, let's try that again. When I move the box, his hands stick to it. So, and then this one moves independently. Now, if I want to do something like have the box slide down, I could do this with this control, but the problem is the right hand sticks. If I was planning something like that, what I would do is I'd build 2 controls. So I'd have one master control that the right hand follows, but then I'd also have a sub control that would be, the one I can move the box independently of whatever is attached to the box. So it would be like a ring inside of a ring. And when I move that inner ring, the box could move, but the right hand would stay in place. And that ring would just be, the second control would just be a child of this one, and the box would be parented to that ring. So it's all a hierarchy thing, but that's how you do it. And it's pretty simple, straightforward. Plan it out a little bit, figure out what you need to follow what. But the more you do it, the more it makes sense, and you'll be able to figure this stuff out pretty easy. It's not hard to set up. So there you go. You can carry stuff now, and hope you're able to follow that, and we'll see you next lesson.